Chosen one, are you sitting there right now, wondering if God has forgotten your name? Are you staring at these four walls, asking yourself if the dreams you once carried, the fire that once burned in your chest, if any of it even mattered anymore? Have you been whispering to the darkness, God, where are you in this season of my life? Let me tell you something that will shatter every lie the enemy has whispered in your ear. You are not here by accident. This moment, this divine appointment, this isn't coincidence. It's providence. I see you there, beloved. Maybe it's past midnight, and sleep won't come because your heart is heavy with regret. Maybe you're wondering if the best chapters of your story are written in yesterday's ink. Maybe you've been carrying the weight of what if and if only until your shoulders ache with the burden of it all. But hear me clearly, chosen one. Life is a long road, and some roads are paved with silence. But silence is not absence. It's divine alignment. The God who spoke galaxies into existence. The same God who knows every star by name. He knows your name. Before your first breath kissed the morning air, before your first heartbeat echoed in your mother's womb, He chose you. Listen to His voice in Jeremiah 1-5. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. You think you're watching a video? No, beloved. This is a divine encounter. Heaven is interrupting your regularly scheduled loneliness to remind you of something the world tried to make you forget. You are God's chosen one, and your greatest chapter is about to begin. Before we go deeper into this sacred moment, I want to thank every single one of you who has supported this message through Super Thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just giving, you're helping spread light to others who feel forgotten in their calling. Whether you sow or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here. Your support, your time, your attention, it all matters. And if this message is already stirring something deep in your soul, go ahead. If something in your spirit is awakening right now, if you feel the gentle trembling of divine recognition, drop a 777 in the comments below. That's not just a number, it's your declaration to heaven that you're ready for your new beginning. This isn't entertainment, chosen one. This is your divine appointment with destiny. And God has not forgotten your name. How many nights have you lain awake at 3 a.m. replaying conversations that ended 30 years ago? How many times have you walked past an empty chair at your dinner table and felt the crushing weight of who should have been sitting there? How many dreams did you bury so deep that you've forgotten what it felt like to hope? Chosen one, I see you. I see the way you carry those invisible scars like a second skin, the betrayal that came from someone you trusted with your whole heart, the phone call that changed everything. The moment you looked in the mirror and realized the person staring back wasn't who you thought you'd become. You've been living with ghosts, haven't you? Not the supernatural kind, the kind that whisper in broad daylight. The ghost of the marriage that didn't make it to till death do us part. The ghost of the children who stopped calling. The ghost of the career that promised everything and delivered emptiness. The ghost of the body that used to be strong. The mind that used to be sharp. The faith that used to move mountains. We bury memories like we bury the dead quietly, privately, with trembling hands. But unlike the dead, these memories refuse to stay buried. They claw their way to the surface at Christmas dinner when there's one less place setting. They resurrect themselves in old photographs tucked away in dusty albums. They haunt you in the silence between heartbeats, in the space between what was and what could have been. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? That suffocating weight that settles on your chest when you remember how it felt to be needed, how it felt to matter, how it felt to believe that tomorrow would be better than today. Maybe you're sitting there right now, 73 years old, wondering if God sees the 23-year-old who had fire in their belly and stars in their eyes. Maybe you're 85, asking if the Almighty remembers the woman who once believed she could change the world, one small act of kindness at a time. Here's what the world won't tell you, but heaven will. Your pain has a purpose. Your scars have a story. Your brokenness has a blueprint for breakthrough. David understood this when he penned Psalm 34-18. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Not will be close or might be close is close. Present tense. Right now. In this moment. In your living room. In your assisted living facility. In your loneliness. In your regret. God doesn't stand at a distance, wringing his hands over your heartache. He sits with you in it. He breathes with you through it. He weeps with you over it. But here's where the story gets revolutionary. How many birthdays did you spend alone, chosen one? How many anniversaries passed like any other Tuesday? How many prayers bounced off the ceiling like rubber balls, leaving you wondering if anyone upstairs was even listening? You counted them, didn't you? Those unanswered prayers, those closed doors, those dreams that died in delivery rooms of disappointment. You've been keeping score like God owes you, an explanation for every tear, every sleepless night, every moment you felt forgotten. But what if I told you that every prayer you thought went unanswered was actually being answered in a language you didn't yet understand? What if every closed door was God's protection from something that would have destroyed you? What if every delay was divine timing and every detour was divine direction? Here's the revelation that will shatter your understanding of suffering. The past did not break you, it built you. God was shaping you, not punishing you. Think about Joseph, 17 years old, sold into slavery by his own brothers. 13 years of prison, false accusations, forgotten promises. If you were Joseph's therapist, you'd have diagnosed him with every form of trauma known to humanity. But God wasn't writing a tragedy, he was writing a rescue story that would save nations. Consider Moses' years in the wilderness, tending sheep when he thought he'd be leading people. 8 decades of feeling forgotten, irrelevant, past his prime. But God wasn't wasting his time. He was preparing him for the greatest deliverance in human history. Look at Jesus sweating blood in Gethsemane, crying out, "My God, why have you forsaken me?" from a Roman cross. If the Son of God experienced abandonment, chosen one, your feelings of forsakenness don't disqualify you from divine purpose, they qualify you for it. Every scar you carry is a sermon waiting to be preached. Every tear you've shed is a river that will water someone else's desert. Every failure you've endured is a foundation stone for the miracle God is building through your life. You see, the enemy wanted to destroy you with that divorce, but God used it to give you compassion for other broken hearts. The devil intended to devastate you with that financial loss, but the Almighty used it to teach you that your worth isn't in your wallet. Hell hoped to crush you with that diagnosis, but heaven used it to show you that your body might be failing, but your spirit is fierce. You are not damaged goods, chosen one. You are a masterpiece under construction. The pain didn't come to stay. It came to build something beautiful in you that could never have been formed in comfort. The loneliness didn't come to isolate you. It came to create space for God to fill you with His presence. The loss didn't come to empty you. It came to make room for something greater than what you lost. But here's the moment of truth. You have to choose to release what's behind you, to receive what's before you. You cannot embrace your new beginning while clutching your old endings. God is calling you to open those clenched fists and let go of what was, so you can grasp what is. In the comments below, write what you're ready to release. Just type one word: release. Because freedom starts with confession, and your confession starts with one brave word. But the question that will determine your destiny is this: will you trust God enough to let go of your past so He can give you your future? Listen to me, chosen one. You are not a relic. You are a revelation, a message wrapped in wrinkles. The world looks at your silver hair and sees sunset. God looks at your silver hair and sees the sunrise of your greatest purpose. They see ending, He sees beginning. They see decline, He sees divine timing. Here's what the enemy doesn't want you to know. Your age isn't disqualification, it's divine preparation. Noah wasn't called at 25 to build the ark. He was 600 years old when God said, "Now is your time." Abraham wasn't called at 35 to father nations. He was 75 when God whispered, "Pack your bags. Your destiny is waiting." Moses, 80 years old when he faced Pharaoh. David, an old king when he wrote his most powerful psalms. And here you are, thinking God is done with you because you've got more yesterdays than tomorrows. That's the biggest lie hell ever told. Listen to what God declares in Isaiah 46:4. "Even to your old age and grey hairs, I am He. I will sustain you." Did you catch that, beloved? Even to, not despite. Not in spite of. Even to. God doesn't tolerate your age, He celebrates it. Your survival wasn't chance. It was choreography. Every heartbreak that should have destroyed you but didn't. Every loss that should have ended you but became your beginning. Every midnight hour when you cried out, "God, I can't take any more," and somehow you did. What you called delay, God called design. What you called detour, God called development. What you called your darkest hour, God called your deepest preparation. And here's the revelation that will shatter your understanding. The very moment you almost gave up, that's when heaven doubled the angels around you. When you felt most alone, you were most surrounded. When you thought God was silent, He was orchestrating your symphony. You want to know why you're still here? Why you survived that surgery when the doctors gave you 50-50 odds? Why you walked away from that accident when the paramedics said you shouldn't have? Why your heart kept beating through that depression when you begged it to stop? Because God wasn't finished writing your story. Maybe you lost a spouse who was your everything for 40 years, and now the house echoes with memories instead of laughter. Maybe you buried a child and part of your soul went into that ground with them. Maybe you watched dreams crumble like autumn leaves, and you're wondering if hope is just a word for young people. But God didn't lose you. When cancer knocked on your door, God didn't flinch. When bankruptcy emptied your bank account, God didn't panic. When loneliness became your unwanted companion, God didn't abandon His post. He stationed more angels. He whispered your name in heaven's prayer meetings. He marked your address on His divine GPS and said, "This one is mine." You think you're forgotten. You're unforgettable. You think you're finished. You're about to be unleashed. You think your best years are in the rearview mirror. Beloved, you haven't even seen the highway yet. Here's what's happening right now, this very second. God is preparing to interrupt your ordinary Tuesday with extraordinary purpose. He's about to crash into your retirement plans with kingdom assignments. He's getting ready to wake up gifts you forgot you had and activate callings you never knew existed. Why now? Because now you have something you didn't have at 25, 35, or even 55. You have holy desperation. You've been stripped of pretense. You've been purged of people-pleasing. You've walked through fire and came out refined, not consumed. The world threw everything it had at you, and you're still standing. That's not luck, chosen one. That's divine protection preparing you for divine promotion. Every wrinkle on your face is a testimony. Every gray hair is a graduate degree from the University of Hard Knocks. Every scar is a badge of honor that says, "I survived what should have killed me because God has work for me to do." You want to know the difference between you and that 30-year-old with big dreams? They have energy. You have anointing. They have ambition. You have authority. They have plans. You have purpose seasoned in the furnace of experience. God is about to use your pain as your platform, your mess as your message, your test as your testimony. The enemy meant it for evil, but God is about to flip the script. Right now, heaven is downloading a new assignment into your spirit. Right now, angels are positioning themselves for your breakthrough. Right now, God is saying, "Watch what I do with a willing vessel who has nothing left to lose and everything to gain." The question isn't whether God can use you at your age. The question is, are you ready to let Him? Because what's coming next will require everything you've learned in every season you've survived. And beloved, what's coming next will not only transform your life, it will transform every life you touch. Are you ready to discover why God kept you here for such a time as this? But wait, I need to address the elephant in the room, the lie that's been eating away at your soul like cancer. Society has written you off, hasn't it? They've handed you a rocking chair and told you your time is up. They've whispered in your ear that your best days are behind you, that your voice doesn't matter anymore, that you should step aside and let the younger generation take over. Stop. Let me shatter that demonic deception right here, right now. You think God operates on man's retirement plan? You think the creator of the universe punches a time clock? You think he looks at your birth certificate and says, well, your subscription to purpose has expired? Absolutely not. Listen to me, chosen one. While the world is busy writing your obituary, God is writing your next chapter. While society is pushing you toward the sidelines, heaven is calling you to center stage. The Apostle Peter, under divine inspiration, declared in 1 Peter 2-9, "You are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, his own special people." Did you catch that? Chosen generation. Not chosen until you hit 65. Not chosen until your hair turns gray. Not chosen until your joints start creaking. Chosen. Period. Your age isn't a disqualification, it's your divine credential. Think about this shocking truth. Moses was 80 years old when God called him to deliver an entire nation. Abraham was 75 when God promised him descendants as numerous as the stars. Sarah was 90 when she gave birth to the impossible. What makes you think God is done with you at 70, at 80, at 90? Here's what the enemy doesn't want you to know. Your greatest assignment might be waiting in your greatest years. The wisdom you've accumulated, the battles you've survived, the character that's been forged in the furnace of decades that's not retirement material. That's ammunition for your divine assignment. While the world tells you to slow down, sit back, and fade into silence, God says, rise. You've been carrying something inside you that this generation desperately needs. A perspective that can't be Googled, wisdom that can't be downloaded, truth that can only come from someone who's walked through valleys and lived to tell about it. The young generation is drowning in information but starving for wisdom. They have access to everything but understanding of nothing. They can connect to anyone but can't connect to themselves. And you have what they need. But here's the controversy nobody wants to talk about. You've been convinced that your purpose has an expiration date. You've bought into the lie that relevance requires youth, that impact requires energy, that significance requires speed. That's not God's economy. In God's kingdom, your wrinkles are wisdom marks. Your scars are testimonies. Your slower pace is deeper purpose. Your quiet voice carries more authority than their loud noise. There's a legacy inside of you. A story that hasn't finished speaking, prayers that haven't finished being answered, lives that haven't finished being touched. You are not done because He is not done. Do you know why you're still breathing? It's not just to fill your days with doctor's appointments and grocery store trips. It's because heaven has unfinished business with your life. Every morning you open your eyes is God saying, "Not yet. I still need you. There's still work to do." You think your health challenges disqualify you? Paul had a thorn in his flesh and changed the world. You think your limited mobility stops God? He can use your prayer closet more than someone else's platform. You think your quieter voice can't be heard? Elijah heard God in a whisper, not in the earthquake. Here's what's about to happen when you stop believing the world's lies and start believing God's truth. You're going to discover that your greatest impact comes not from what you can still do, but from who you've become. The patience you've learned will calm someone's anxiety. The faith you've developed will strengthen someone's doubt. The peace you've found will heal someone's chaos. Your presence alone is a miracle to someone who thinks miracles have stopped happening. But you have to choose. Right here, right now. Will you accept the world's verdict that you're obsolete, or will you accept heaven's declaration that you're essential? The clock isn't running out on your purpose, it's counting down to your greatest moment. Declare it now. I still have purpose. Speak it, type it, claim it. Don't just think it, don't just feel it, declare it. Let heaven hear you. Let hell hear you. Let your own doubts hear you. I still have purpose. Because, chosen one, God isn't finished with your story yet. And the next chapter, it's about to be your most powerful one yet. Chosen one, I need you to look at your hands right now. Go ahead. Look at them. Those weathered fingers. Those lines that tell stories of decades lived. Those same hands have been carrying something far too heavy for far too long. We carry memories like old photographs, yellowed at the edges, soft from too much holding. You've been clutching them so tightly that the edges have worn smooth, haven't you? That divorce paper from 30 years ago, that phone call you never made, that dream you buried when life got practical, that moment when someone you trusted shattered your heart into 1,000 pieces. But here's what the enemy doesn't want you to know. Every second you spend gripping yesterday is a second stolen from the miracle God is preparing for tomorrow. You think you're being loyal to your pain. You think remembering every hurt somehow honors what you went through. But beloved, there's a difference between remembering and being imprisoned. One leads to wisdom. The other leads to spiritual death. Listen to what God is declaring over your life right now through the prophet Isaiah. Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? Isaiah 43:18-19. Do you hear that? God is doing a new thing. Not next year. Not when you feel ready. Now. But you can't see it because you're still staring at the rearview mirror of your life. Let me tell you about a young Jewish girl named Hadassah. Beautiful, orphaned, forgotten by the world. But when God's time came, she had to make a choice that would determine not just her destiny, but the survival of an entire nation. She had to let go of her name to step into her crown. Hadassah became Esther, the orphan became the queen. But here's what most people miss. She couldn't become who God called her to be while clinging to who she used to be. You see, beloved, letting go isn't forgetting. It's remembering who you are without the weight. Right now, in this very moment, there's an 85-year-old woman watching this, and she's still angry about something that happened in 1967. There's a 70-year-old man whose heart is still broken over a business that failed in the 1980s. There's someone listening right now who's been wearing their disappointment like a burial shroud for decades. But God is asking you the same question. He asked Ezekiel in that valley of dry bones, can these bones live? Can your dreams live again? Can your heart beat with purpose again? Can your spirit soar again? The answer is yes, but only if you're willing to open your hands. Here's the truth that will either set you free or terrify you. God has been waiting for you to let go because He can't fill hands that are already full. You've been wondering where your breakthrough is, where your healing is, where your second chance is. It's been waiting in your open palms. I want you to think about something right now. What if that betrayal that nearly destroyed you was actually God's way of removing someone who would have prevented your true destiny? What if that closed door you've been mourning was actually God's protection from a path that would have led to your spiritual death? What if every no you received was actually God saying, I have something immeasurably better, but you'll never know, you'll never see, you'll never receive, as long as you're holding on to what was never meant to stay. The enemy has convinced you that your scars are your identity, that your failures define your future, that your age disqualifies you from your dreams. But God is calling that lie exactly what it is. A demonic deception designed to rob you of your inheritance. You are not too old for God's promises. Sarah was 90 when she conceived Isaac. Moses was 80 when he led the Exodus. Caleb was 85 when he conquered his promised land. Your age is not a limitation, it's your qualification for a miracle. But first, you must release what you've been holding. That grudge that's been poisoning your sleep for 20 years. That regret that's been stealing your joy every morning. That fear that's been whispering, "It's too late, it's too late, it's too late." It's not too late. It's divine timing. Right now, I want you to participate in something sacred. This isn't just a video moment, this is a ceremony between you and God. If you're ready to release your pain, close your eyes. I'm serious. Close them right now. Imagine your hands in front of you. See them clearly. Now, slowly, open them. Feel the weight of everything you've been carrying finally lifting from your palms. That bitterness, that disappointment, that shame. Let it all fall away. Now, with your hands still open, see God placing something new inside. Feel the weight of it. It's not heavy like the old burden. It's substantial like a promise. It's your new beginning, your second chance, your divine appointment with destiny. Hold it. Feel it. This is what you've been making room for. This is why God has been asking you to let go. When you open your eyes in a moment, you're going to be different. Because letting go isn't losing something. It's making space for everything. But here's the question that will determine your future. Are you ready to stop being a prisoner of your past and start being a pioneer of your promise? Because God is about to show you exactly what He's been preparing while you were looking backward. Chosen one, everything you thought you knew about your story is about to change. You've been standing at a closed door for so long. Your knuckles are raw from knocking. Your voice is hoarse from calling out. Your faith is stretched thin from waiting. But here's what the enemy doesn't want you to know. God was never sending you through that door. He's about to build you one. Listen to me carefully. That rejection letter that crushed your spirit, that relationship that ended when you thought it would last forever, that job you lost when you were counting on it, that dream that seemed to die in your hands. None of it was God closing doors on you. It was God protecting you from settling for less than His best. You see, beloved, we live in a culture that worships instant gratification. We want our prayers answered by Tuesday, our breakthroughs delivered by Thursday, our miracles wrapped up with a bow by the weekend. But God operates on a different timeline, eternity's timeline. And on eternity's timeline, your greatest season isn't behind you. It's approaching like a freight train. But why has it taken so long? Let me tell you something that's going to rock your theology and revolutionize your understanding of divine timing. The breakthrough wasn't delayed. It was being built. Every tear you cried was laying the foundation. Every prayer you whispered was adding another brick. Every moment you thought God was silent, He was actually constructing something so magnificent that when it's revealed, the world will stand in absolute awe. You think Noah was frustrated when God told him to build an ark and it didn't rain for 7 years? You think Abraham questioned God's promise when he waited 25 years for Isaac? They weren't waiting in vain. They were waiting in alignment. Divine alignment. Here's what divine alignment really means. God is lining up every circumstance, every person, every opportunity, every divine appointment to collide at the exact moment when your breakthrough will have maximum impact, not just on your life, but on the kingdom of God. Right now, as I'm speaking these words, there are people being positioned in your path. There are doors being loosened from their hinges. There are miracles being packaged with your name on them. You are not forgotten. You are being prepared. The prophet Jeremiah knew this truth when God spoke through him. "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, to give you hope and a future." Do you hear that? God has plans plural, not just one backup plan, but multiple strategies, multiple pathways, multiple ways to get you to your destiny. But here's where it gets supernatural. In the next 7 days, mark your calendar, set your alarm, prepare your heart watch for confirmation. It might come as a phone call you weren't expecting. It might manifest as a dream so vivid you wake up with tears of joy streaming down your face. It might arrive as a divine appointment, a conversation with a stranger that changes everything. Why 7 days? Because 7 is God's number of completion. 7 days of creation, 7 priests around Jericho. 7 times Naaman dipped in the Jordan. God is about to complete something in your life that He started before you were born. You've been asking God, when will my season come? But God has been whispering back, your season is already here. You just haven't recognized it yet. You've been looking for your breakthrough to look like everyone else's breakthrough. But God doesn't work in duplicates. He works in originals. Think about this. David didn't look like a king when Samuel anointed him. He looked like a shepherd boy. Esther didn't look like a deliverer when she was orphaned. She looked like a victim. Gideon didn't look like a mighty warrior when the angel found him. He looked like a man hiding in fear. But God doesn't see what is, He sees what will be. And what He sees in you right now is staggering. He sees the ministry that's about to birth through your pain. He sees the book that's about to flow through your testimony. He sees the financial breakthrough that's about to demolish every limitation. He sees the restoration that's about to heal generations. He sees the influence that's about to impact nations. But here's the question that will determine your future. Are you going to keep staring at the closed door, or are you going to turn around and see the mansion God is building behind you? Because while you've been focused on what didn't work out, God has been focused on what's about to work out. While you've been mourning what you lost, God has been preparing what you're about to gain. While you've been questioning His timing, God has been perfecting His plan. This is your moment of divine alignment, not next year, not when you feel ready, not when all your ducks are in a row. Right now, today, this very second, as these words are penetrating your spirit. The Apostle Paul understood this when he declared in Romans 8:28, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose." All things, chosen one. Not just the good things, not just the easy things, all things. That betrayal that broke your heart, God is using it. That financial crisis that shook your foundation, God is using it. That health scare that terrified you, God is using it. Everything that tried to destroy you is being converted into the very force that will elevate you. So what happens next in this divine alignment? Chosen one, let me ask you something that's going to cut straight to your soul. Why do you think you've felt so invisible for so long? Why does it seem like everyone else gets the spotlight while you've been sitting in the shadows, wondering if God even remembers your address? Why have your prayers felt like they're bouncing off the ceiling, while others seem to have heaven's direct hotline? Here's the truth that's about to shatter everything you thought you knew about your story. You weren't overlooked. You were preserved. Listen to me carefully, beloved. Some flowers bloom at midnight. Their beauty was never meant for the crowd, only for the Creator. While the world was applauding the roses that bloomed at noon, God was cultivating something rare in you, something that could only flourish in the sacred darkness of His secret place. The prophet Isaiah knew this mystery when he wrote in chapter 49, verse 2, "In the shadow of His hand He hid me. In the shadow of His hand, not abandoned, not forgotten, hidden." Do you understand what this means? When a master sculptor works on his greatest masterpiece, he doesn't display it half-finished in the town square. He keeps it covered, protected, away from prying eyes until the moment of revelation. That's what God has been doing with your life. You've been under divine covering. Think about it. Why couldn't the enemy destroy you when he tried? Remember that moment when you should have been broken beyond repair, but somehow you're still here. Remember when the doctors said there was no hope, but you defied every statistic? Remember when the financial collapse should have buried you, but you found a way to breathe underwater? That wasn't luck, chosen one. That was divine preservation. The enemy couldn't touch what God had marked as His own, so he changed his strategy. If he couldn't destroy you, he would distract you. If he couldn't kill your calling, he would convince you that you never had one. Here's AHA moment number 1 that's going to revolutionize your understanding. The enemy couldn't destroy you, so he tried to distract you from discovering what you carry. He whispered lies about your age. You're too old now. He planted doubts about your past. You've made too many mistakes. He filled your mind with comparison. Look how far ahead everyone else is. But every lie was proof of your value. You don't attack what has no worth. Right now, as I'm speaking these words, some of you are feeling something stirring deep in your chest. That's not emotion, beloved. That's recognition. Your spirit is remembering what your mind forgot. You're beginning to see the divine strategy behind every season of hiddenness. Those years you felt invisible. God was installing something in you that couldn't be developed in public. Those nights you cried alone, God was washing away everything that wasn't meant for your destiny. Those doors that slammed shut. God was redirecting you away from counterfeits toward the authentic. You thought you were being punished, but you were being prepared. You thought you were being overlooked, but you were being overshadowed by the Almighty's wings. The world sees delay and thinks disqualification, but heaven sees delay and calls it divine precision. Abraham waited 25 years for Isaac. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness before his real ministry began. David was anointed king, but lived in caves for years before he touched the throne. Delay doesn't mean denial, it means development. You have been marked, chosen one. Not markers for destruction, markers for distinction. Not marked for mediocrity, marked for magnificence. When God marks something as his own, hell itself cannot touch it. When heaven puts a divine seal on your life, every attack becomes a setup for your comeback. You've been carrying something precious, and the enemy knew it before you did. That's why he worked so hard to make you forget. That's why he whispered that you were ordinary when everything about your survival screams supernatural. But the season of hiddenness is ending. The time of divine covering is lifting. Your moment of manifestation has arrived. God didn't preserve you this long to leave you on the shelf. He didn't develop this treasure in you to keep it buried. The world is about to see what he's been crafting in the secret place. Some of you are feeling your spirit leap right now, because deep down you've always known. You've always sensed there was something different about your story, something significant about your survival, something sacred about your struggle. Type I am marked in the comments right now if your soul is whispering, "This is me." Don't just think it, declare it. Let heaven hear your voice align with your destiny. When you declare what God has already decreed, you activate what he's already prepared. Type I am marked and watch how the atmosphere shifts around your life. Because chosen one, if you've been marked by God, if you've been set apart for his purposes, then everything that tried to destroy you has actually been working to develop you. And if that's true, if you really are his marked one, then what do you think he's about to do with the rest of your story? But before we move forward, chosen one, I need you to travel back with me. Close your eyes for just a moment and remember. Do you remember being 7 years old, lying on your back in the summer grass, staring up at that endless sky? Do you remember that feeling washing over you like warm honey? That deep, unexplainable knowing that you were meant for something more, something bigger than the four walls of your bedroom, something grander than the small world adults kept trying to squeeze you into. You felt it, didn't you? That electric pulse in your chest when you watched clouds drift by like heavenly ships, that whisper in your heart when thunder rolled across the horizon. You knew, you just knew, that there was a cosmic conversation happening. And somehow, impossibly, you were part of it. The spirit has memory, even when the mind forgets. Listen carefully, beloved. That child lying in the grass wasn't imagining things. That wasn't childhood fantasy or an overactive imagination. That was your spirit recognizing its origin. That was eternity calling to eternity. The Bible tells us in Ecclesiastes 3:11, he has set eternity in the human heart. God didn't just create you for this temporary world. He embedded a piece of forever inside you. That's why nothing here ever felt quite enough. That's why you always sensed there was more beyond what your eyes could see. But here's what the enemy doesn't want you to understand, and this will change everything. You didn't sense more because you were sensitive. You sensed more because you were sent. That restlessness you felt as a teenager when everyone else seemed content with ordinary, that wasn't rebellion. That was recognition. Your spirit was trying to tell you something your mind wasn't ready to comprehend. You carry the DNA of heaven. Think about it, chosen one. Why do you think you've always felt like an outsider? Why have you spent decades feeling like you're speaking a different language than everyone else? Why does your heart break for people you've never met? Why do injustices that don't affect you personally keep you awake at 3 a.m.? Because you're not from here. Not really. Your citizenship is in heaven, and every fiber of your being knows it. That ache you've carried your whole life, that's not depression. That's homesickness for a place you've never been but somehow remember. But somewhere along the way, life got loud, didn't it? The bills started piling up, the disappointment started stacking. People you trusted broke your heart, dreams you thought were divine turned to dust. And slowly, gradually, you stopped listening to that whisper. You convinced yourself it was just wishful thinking. Just the foolish hopes of someone who didn't understand how the real world works. But the whisper never left. It's been calling your name through every storm, every setback, every moment when you wanted to give up. It's been there in the sunrise you caught through your kitchen window. It's been there in the unexpected kindness of strangers. It's been there in the songs that made you cry for reasons you couldn't explain. That voice has been faithful, even when you stopped being faithful to it. Here's what breaks my heart, chosen one. You've spent so many years apologizing for being different. So many years trying to shrink your light to make others comfortable. So many years wondering what's wrong with you instead of realizing what's right with you. Nothing is wrong with you. You're exactly who God made you to be. You were never meant to fit in because you were designed to stand out. You were never meant to follow the crowd because you were called to lead them home. You were never meant to be satisfied with ordinary because extraordinary is your birthright. That child in the grass knew something that the world spent decades trying to make you forget. But tonight, right now, in this sacred moment, your spirit is remembering. You are not an accident. You are not a mistake. You are not too old, too late, or too far gone. You are a divine appointment wrapped in human skin. Every experience you've had, every scar you carry, every tear you've cried has been preparing you for this moment of recognition. God has been writing your story, and you're about to turn the page to the chapter that changes everything. That voice that called to you as a child, it's calling to you right now. It's saying, come home to who you really are. Step into the purpose I placed in your DNA before the foundation of the world. Your past doesn't disqualify you. It qualifies you. Every mistake has become wisdom. Every wound has become compassion. Every failure has become faith that nothing can shake. You've been in training, chosen one, and the training is almost over. If this is hitting your heart like lightning, if something deep inside you is saying, yes, I remember, then type I remember in the comments below. This isn't just engagement. This is your spirit remembering who you are. This is your soul saying yes to the calling that never left. Because what you're about to discover next will shatter every limitation you've accepted about your life. Every chain that's held you back is about to break, and the journey you've been waiting for your entire life is about to begin. But first, you have to remember who you really are. Chosen one. I need you to understand something that will change how you see every battle you've ever fought. The enemy didn't attack you because of your past. He attacked you because of your future. Every sleepless night, every moment when you felt like giving up, every time someone you trusted turned their back on you. That wasn't random warfare. That was a spiritual manhunt. Think about it. Why would the devil waste his time on someone who posed no threat? Why would hell itself mobilize against ordinary people? Because you're not ordinary. The enemy saw your crown before you ever picked it up. What you thought was your worst season was actually your preparation season. Look at Job, the richest man in the East, blessed beyond measure. Then overnight, everything gone. His children, his wealth, his health, even his wife telling him to curse God and die. But here's what most people miss about Job's story. Satan had to ask God's permission to touch him. Why? Because Job was marked, protected, chosen. The attack on Job wasn't about what he had done, it was about what God was going to do through him. Job's story didn't end in the ash heap, it ended with double restoration. The enemy's assault became God's setup for overflow. Joseph had dreams of greatness, visions of ruling over his own brothers. But before the palace came the pit. Before the throne came the prison. His own flesh and blood sold him into slavery. But every betrayal was a divine redirection. Every setback was a setup for elevation that would save entire nations from famine. The enemy thought he was destroying Joseph's destiny. God was using the enemy's hatred to position Joseph for his purpose. And David, oh chosen one, if anyone understood spiritual warfare, it was David. Anointed as king while still a teenager, then spent years running for his life in caves. Saul, the very king he was destined to replace, hunting him like a wild animal. But listen to what David learned in those wilderness years. He wrote in Psalm 23, "You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies." God didn't remove David's enemies. He fed David right in front of them. Every cave became a classroom. Every persecution became preparation for kingship. The enemy's plan to break David became God's plan to build David. Here's the revelation that will shake you to your core. What you thought was your breaking point was actually your breakthrough point. The pressure wasn't meant to crush you. It was meant to create a diamond. Every attack on your character was really an attack on your calling. Every attempt to silence your voice was because hell knew the power of your testimony. Every effort to isolate you was because the enemy understood the influence you would carry. The warfare was proportional to your purpose. Isaiah 54:17 declares, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper." Not no weapon will be formed, but no weapon will succeed. The enemy can swing, but he cannot win. He can attack, but he cannot overcome. Every weapon that rises against you is already defeated by the one who fights for you. But here's what's happening right now, as you're listening to these words. The same enemy that tried to convince you that you were forgotten, that tried to make you believe your pain had no purpose, that whispered lies about your worth, he's trembling right now, because you're beginning to see the truth. You weren't attacked because you were weak. You were attacked because you were dangerous. The rejection you faced, it was clearing space for divine connections. The doors that slammed shut, God was protecting you from settling for less than His best. The betrayals that left you bleeding, they were removing people who couldn't handle your anointing. Every giant you faced was custom designed to train you for the Goliaths in your future. Every storm you weathered was strengthening you for the seas you're about to sail. Every battle was boot camp for the war you're destined to win. The enemy studied your bloodline, researched your calling, calculated your potential impact on his kingdom. He threw everything he had at you because he knew what you would become. But what the enemy meant for evil, God orchestrated for good. Your scars are not signs of defeat. They're proof of your survival. Your wounds are not evidence of weakness. They're badges of warfare. And now, chosen one, now comes the most dangerous part for the enemy. You're beginning to understand who you really are. You're starting to see that every attack was actually a confirmation of your calling. You're realizing that your pain had a purpose, your struggle had a strategy, your warfare had a destination. The enemy's greatest fear is not your potential, it's your awakening to your identity. Because once you understand that you're not a victim of circumstances but a victor in Christ, once you realize that your past was preparation, not punishment. Once you grasp that your future is so bright it required this level of opposition, everything changes. The enemy loses his power over you the moment you understand the war was never about destroying you. It was about preventing you from discovering who you really are. But it's too late for that now, isn't it? You're awake. You're aware. You're arising. The question is no longer whether you'll overcome. You already have. The question is, what will you do with the authority that comes from surviving hell's worst and still standing? If you're tired of being silent about your calling, if you're done hiding the light that hell tried so hard to extinguish, if you're ready to step into the identity the enemy fought so hard to keep from you, comment, "No more hiding," below. Let your voice rise with your calling, because the war for your identity is over. And you beautiful, battle-tested, chosen one, you won. This is not random. This is right on time. Chosen one, I need you to understand something that will change everything about how you see this moment. You didn't stumble onto this message. You weren't scrolling through videos and accidentally clicked play. Heaven orchestrated this divine appointment. The same God who set the stars in their courses has aligned every circumstance in your life to bring you to this exact second. This is not random. This is right on time. But here's what's going to shock you. Most people miss their divine moment because they're still living in yesterday's pain. They're so busy nursing old wounds that they can't hear heaven's countdown ticking. Right now, as I speak these words, there's a timer running over your life. Not a timer of death, beloved, but a timer of divine activation. You see, God doesn't operate on our timeline. He operates on Kairos time, divine timing where one moment can change everything. And your Kairos moment is happening now. Let me take you to the walls of Jericho. Joshua stood before those massive fortifications, walls so thick that houses were built into them, walls that had never been breached. The people of Israel had wandered 40 years in the wilderness, carrying the shame of their fathers' disobedience. 40 years of delay, 40 years of not yet, 40 years of wondering if God had forgotten his promises. But then came the seventh day. Joshua 6:20 tells us, "When the trumpets sounded, the army shouted, and at the sound of the trumpet, when the men gave a loud shout, the wall collapsed." This is not random. This is right on time. Here's what most people miss about Jericho. It wasn't the marching that brought down the walls. It wasn't the shouting. It was the timing of obedience. 7 days, 7 times around. At the exact moment God commanded, those walls that had stood for centuries crumbled to dust. Chosen one, are you hearing me? Heaven operates like a lock. The click happens only when your obedience aligns with divine timing. You've been circling your own Jericho walls, haven't you? Those walls of regret. Those walls of "I'm too old." Those walls of "it's too late for me." Those walls of generational curses and family dysfunction. Those walls that whisper, "Your best days are behind you." But what if I told you that every lap around those walls, every year of pain, every season of waiting, every moment of doubt, what if all of it was preparation? Not for breakthrough, beloved, for alignment. AHA. Moment number 4. Everything you've been through was preparing you not for breakthrough, but for alignment. Think about it. A broken marriage taught you the value of faithfulness. Financial struggle taught you to depend on God's provision. Health challenges taught you that your body is temporary but your spirit is eternal. Betrayal taught you to trust God above people. Loneliness taught you that only God can fill the deepest places of your heart. You thought those experiences were punishments. They were preparation. You thought those delays were denials. They were divine alignment. You thought those closed doors meant rejection. They were redirection toward this very moment. This is not random. This is right on time. But here's where it gets urgent. Chosen one. There's a window opening over your life right now. A 7-day window of divine activation. Not 7 years. Not 7 months. 7 days. Heaven is moving with precision. and you have a choice to make. I'm calling you into a 7-day divine alignment challenge. For the next 7 days, heaven is going to speak to you in ways you haven't experienced in years, maybe decades. But you have to be watching, you have to be listening, you have to be open. God is going to speak through your dreams. Pay attention to what you see when you close your eyes. He's going to speak through divine encounters, that conversation with a stranger, that phone call you weren't expecting, that message that shows up exactly when you need it. He's going to speak through scripture, verses that leap off the page and grab your heart. But most importantly, he's going to speak through supernatural confirmation. Things lining up too perfectly to be coincidence. Numbers repeating, names appearing, doors opening that have been shut for years. This is not random. This is right on time. You know what separates the chosen ones who step into their destiny from those who stay stuck in yesterday's story? They recognize divine timing when it's happening. They don't wait for perfect circumstances. They don't wait until they feel ready. They recognize the Kairos moment and they act. Joshua didn't feel ready to bring down Jericho's walls. He was still learning to fill Moses' shoes. But when God said march, he marched. When God said shout, he shouted. And at the exact moment of divine timing, the impossible became inevitable. Your walls are about to fall, chosen one. But only if you step into this 7-day alignment window with the same obedience Joshua showed at Jericho. Here's your challenge, and I need you to take this seriously because heaven is watching. Watch, listen, be open. For 7 days, position yourself to receive divine communication. Start each morning asking God, "What are you saying to me today?" End each evening asking, "How did you speak to me today?" Document everything, write it down, because God is about to connect dots you didn't even know existed. This is not random, this is right on time. But here's the moment of truth. Are you going to be a spectator or a participant? Are you going to watch this divine timing unfold from the sidelines, or are you going to step into your 7-day window of alignment? I need you to make a declaration right now. In the comments below, type the exact date you're watching this message. Stamp it. Mark it. Seal your agreement with heaven. Let that date be your witness that you chose to step into divine timing instead of staying stuck in human delay. Your 7-day countdown starts the moment you hit comment, and on day 7, you're going to look back at this moment and realize, this was not random, this was right on time. Chosen one, we've walked together through sacred ground today. Let me remind you of the divine truths that heaven has whispered over your life in these moments. You are not here by accident. God knew your name before time began, and he has been orchestrating every detail of your story, even the painful chapters, to bring you to this moment of divine alignment. Your past does not define your future. Those walls of regret, those chains of what if and if only, they have no authority over the destiny God has prepared for you. Like Joshua at Jericho, your breakthrough comes not through your strength, but through obedience to divine timing. This is your Kairos moment. Heaven is not operating on your timeline, but on God's perfect timing. And right now, in this 7-day window, he is positioning you for alignment that will shift everything. But hear me clearly, beloved. You are not walking this journey alone. The same God who guided Moses through the wilderness, who strengthened David before Goliath, who sustained Daniel in the lion's den, that same faithful God is walking beside you. His hand is upon your life. His eyes are watching over your path. His heart is beating with love for you. And you have something else, chosen one. You have a community. Right here, in these comments, in this sacred space we've created together, there are thousands of souls who understand your struggles, who have felt your pain, who are praying for your breakthrough. You are surrounded by a cloud of witnesses who believe in your destiny. Let me ask you this question, and I want you to really sit with it. If God has brought you this far, through every storm and every valley, why would he abandon you now? Why would the God who has been faithful for all these years suddenly stop working on your behalf? The answer is simple. He won't. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. His plans for you are good, His timing is perfect, and His love for you will never fail. Before you go, I want to pray over you. Close your eyes if you can. Let these words settle deep into your spirit. Heavenly Father, I place my hand on the shoulder of every chosen one hearing these words. You see them, Lord. You know their pain, their questions, their deepest longings. You know the nights they've cried out to you, wondering if you still remember their name. Today, let them feel your presence like never before. Break every chain of regret that has held them captive. Shatter every wall of limitation that has kept them small. Open their eyes to see themselves the way you see them, chosen, beloved, destined for greatness. In this 7-day window, speak to them clearly, through dreams, through divine encounters, through your word, through supernatural confirmation. Let them hear your voice above every other voice. Guide their steps, order their path, and align their hearts with your perfect will. Replace their fear with faith, their doubt with divine confidence, their weariness with supernatural strength. Let them rise each morning knowing that this is the day you have made and that you are working all things together for their good. Surround them with your favor like a shield. Open doors that no man can shut. Bring divine connections that will support their calling. Provide for every need according to your riches in glory. And when their 7 days are complete, let them look back and see your fingerprints all over their story. Let them know beyond any doubt that you are the God who keeps your promises, who never leaves nor forsakes, who is faithful to complete the good work you have begun. In the mighty name of Jesus, who conquered death and hell for our freedom, I declare breakthrough, alignment, and divine acceleration over every life listening to these words. Amen. Now, chosen one, I need you to do something for me. In the comments below, tell me, what is one thing from this message that your spirit grabbed hold of? What word, what scripture, what truth hit your heart the deepest? Share it with this community because your testimony might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. And if you're willing, pray for the person who comments right before you and right after you. Let's create a chain of prayer that covers this entire community. Because when chosen ones unite in prayer, heaven moves. If this message has touched your heart, share it. There's someone in your family, in your circle, who needs to hear these words. Don't keep this divine appointment to yourself. Be the vessel God uses to bring hope to someone who feels forgotten. Thank you for trusting me with these sacred moments. Thank you for staying until the end, for opening your heart, for believing that God still has more for your story. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and join our community of chosen ones. Let's walk this journey together, supporting each other, praying for each other, believing for each other's breakthrough. Remember, beloved, your greatest chapter is not behind you. It's being written right now. God is not finished with you yet. Your divine journey continues, and heaven is cheering you on. Go in peace. Go in power. Go in the absolute certainty that you are God's chosen one, and your time is now.